Yeah, how you doing?
So much sun coming in the windows here.
Yeah, no, that, I mean, like.
All right, the time is 7 PM. We'll call this meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Plaski,
Here.
Trustee Delapenna,
Here.
Trustee Domke,
Here.
Trustee Forsythe,
Here.
Lanisa,
Here.
Trustee Prokowski,
Here.
Trustee Trejo.
Here. We have a quorum. We'll move on to presentation of the prepared agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. We'll move on to village board public comment. Anyone wishing to provide a comment on a topic or an agenda item may address the village board during public comment and public hearing segments of the village board agenda by submitting comments in advance or during the meeting. Madam Clerk, do we have any submitted in advance?
3 in advance. The first one is from Tyler McKenzie. How can the Roselle Police Department better control illegal fireworks activity? This is annoyance to many in our community with children and dogs. More importantly, is a hazard. I saw a firework go off between the Shell and BP gas stations on Irving Park Road go off on June 30th. Village and police department should figure out a better way to control this illegal activity that is not only an annoyance to many community members, but a serious hazard to a potential bodily injury and something overall that downgrades our town and in turn the value of real estate.
I don't know if this is fortunate or unfortunate, but Roselle is not alone in this this battle and this struggle, so to speak. And I know it can create a lot of nuisance for a lot of people. So I'll turn over to Chief of Police Rob Barretto to kind of give his remarks.
Yeah, we responded to dozens of firework complaints. It is a problem that we have every year. I don't have the numbers on how many we ticketed, but we generally will ticket the offender if they are still in the area, confiscate their fireworks, and then every year we call the DuPage County Bomb Squad to collect all of the fireworks that we have grabbed up, and then they take them and dispose of them.
Great. Thank you.
Next is from William Melios. Now that the nice weather is here, I walked to my catering office on Howard. Trying to cross Maple on foot is extremely dangerous. People driving at high speeds and ignoring crosswalk rules. When people do slow for pedestrians, other cars whip around and use the turn lane to go around. This isn't a one-time occurrence. I experience it daily. Also, since 390 started charging tolls, traffic on Irving has increased with cars and semis using it and driving as fast as they can if they were on 390. When I moved here, Irving was constantly watched by the police with radar. I never see it anymore. Why can't these areas be watched with more radar?
On the pedestrian side, I know the village board has been doing a number of studies to help improve that. And I think we're going to start to move some projects forward to kind of test some different measures. I think a lot of that comes with different risk tolerances, and no measure we can put in place will ever be perfect or guarantee safety for pedestrians. But I think the board is going to have some options to kind of explore. And I think the Maple intersection, because of the campus improvements, is a likely contender for us to kind of test some things out. I know we're also evaluating something on Roselle Road. As far as enforcement goes, Chief Barretto, you're a popular guy tonight. I don't know if you want to address anything regarding Irving Park Road and kind of the strategy that we utilize.
Yeah, so overall, our latest numbers, our traffic citations, from April of 2023 to April of 2024 are up 182%. So we are enforcing the roads. As a matter of fact, for semis specifically, we have a commercial motor vehicle enforcement team. And just today, they wrote about $6,000 worth of fines to overweight semis that are violating the laws of the Village of Roselle and the laws of the state of Illinois.
Thank you so much. And I think that's something that's super important as we think about Rodenberg Road. Once that reconstruction's done, we don't want to see that turn into a truck freeway in that sense as well. And while we do talk about fines, it's a good way to measure things. I think the big thing here is we're not ticketing for the sake of revenue, it's ticketing for compliance. And I think that's an important thing is we're not going out of our way to try to harass people just to make a buck. It's to really make sure that we're keeping the roads safe from that sense. And fortunately, some people, they need to pay to come into compliance, so.
The last one is from Leslie Carrion. I am recommending that the two crosswalks located on West Bryn Mawr Avenue near Lake Park High School to be changed to pedestrian crosswalks instead of the current student crosswalk identification. These two crosswalks are used all year, not during just school year/hours. Specifically, the parking lot west of Klaus Recreation Center is often used during the summer for various baseball games played at the high school ball field and for people wanting to play tennis in the school's tennis courts that are open during the entire summer. Crosswalk between the school and the rec center is also used by local pedestrians wanting to get to the rec center and the park. I believe the current postings pose a safety risk for pedestrians using these crosswalks. I would also recommend the use of light signals at these crossings in order to alert drivers.
Thank you. And I kind of, as I have, oh, do you want to add to that? Absolutely. So I think from what we kind of mentioned earlier, I think we're evaluating different things that we can do. And I think the intersection here at Maple and Prospect, Park and Prospect, as well as Roselle Road and I'm blanking on the intersection now. No. Roselle Road and Glen Lake, maybe. I might be. Oh, no, Devon. Granville. I was close. So Roselle Road and Granville, those are some intersections that we currently have done some design or are doing design work to help us evaluate different pedestrian crosswalks. The one for Rose Road would be kind of introducing, if hypothetically it needs approval from the county and other organizations, but a pedestrian island. And then something that could work potentially closer here is the blinkers like you're talking about. I think we have to be careful because anytime we introduce some of those, it can introduce a false sense of security at the end of the day. A lot of people think that that's going to protect them, and a lot of motorists ignore those still, unfortunately. But I think we're evaluating those to see what's going to be the most effective. And I think there's a lot of intersections, like you highlighted, that could benefit from that. So. Could we share those with our Public Works Director? Or actually, do you guys want to address that on the spot? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I went ahead and looked at the signage that's out there currently, and it is the school crossing signage. We can look into replacing that with just the regular pedestrian crossing signage, and also look to see if there's any additional signage that would be beneficial to have out there.
Mhm. Yeah, signage is something we can handle pretty quickly, assuming everything meets the regulatory requirements. And then I think we're definitely evaluating other ways to make pedestrian crossways a little bit more prominent. We'll put it that way. And there's a lot of other tools out there besides blinking lights. Making more decorative crosswalks makes it stand out a little bit more than just the white cross spots, which makes, of more interest, so a motorist is more likely to slow down or see it. There's other things that we've evaluated as far as like road engineering techniques. I'll put it that way, more generically. So. We'll take a look at that then as well. I drive by there pretty frequently, but I don't necessarily recall the state of the painting on the street, so we can definitely evaluate that as well with the signage, so. We appreciate the comment. Is there any other members of the public here tonight that wish to make a comment? Let the record show none. We'll move on to officials and staff reports. Under my report, I just want to thank everyone for joining us for our July 3rd celebration. So this was the first year in a number of years that we've brought back everything from entertainment, the food trucks, to the fireworks. And so I think we've slowly ramped this back up since the COVID days, and it's been really great to see that come back to full life. I was really shocked and surprised and very happy to see almost all the parking at Lake Park completely filled by 7:30 already. So people were definitely coming out, and the fields were packed, and it was great to see so many people out and about. Another thing I want to just take a moment to highlight, I know a number of other mayors used the report to kind of give updates on some legislative issues that might be out there that could be an impact to our community. And so one thing that is going on that I think is worth highlighting is there's a proposal to consolidate Metro Pace and CTA into one large transportation agency. And this has been touted by Springfield as a way to bring reform. There is a massive budget shortfall for a lot of our public transit agencies. But with that being said, the devil is in the details. And I think that's something that I'm anxiously watching, because all those proposals currently have the city of Chicago having more than a majority of the appointees on that board, when over 44% of the revenue and ridership emanates from the suburbs. And so to me, that's really not equitable or fair in that regard. Also, I think we have to think about what services do we maintain and do we want to continue to make available to our residents? And that's just something that, while we had Springfield pass the budget and all that other fun things, there's veto sessions still ahead of us, and there's a lot of legislation that can still happen. So something that I'm keeping an eye on. And then finally, we've got a trustee who's got a birthday today with us. So happy birthday, Trustee Trejo. Thank you. I know this is exactly how you want to celebrate your birthday with us, but we appreciate you and happy birthday. So
Thank you.
with that being the case, is there any village trustees that have a report tonight? All right, village clerk, village attorney, village administrator. We'll move on to our agenda then. We'll start off with unfinished business. First, we have the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine, procedural, informational, self-explanatory, or non-controversial in nature, and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items unless removed from the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda tonight? The record show none. Tonight we have presentation approval of the village board minutes of June 10th, 2024. Presentation approval of the village board minutes of June 24th, 2024. That's it. A light consent agenda for me today. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Delapenna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
That motion carries. We'll now move on to community development. Trustee Prokowski.
Thank you, Mayor Pileski. I would like to move adoption of a resolution authorizing the disposition of the surplus real estate commonly referred to as Lot C, Roselle, Illinois, 60172.
Second.
Any discussion? Record show none. Could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Delapenna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
That motion carries.
I have nothing else, Mayor Pileski.
We'll move on. There's nothing in administration tonight, but fire. Trustee Delapenna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving and authorizing an intergovernmental agreement by and between the Village of Roselle and the Roselle Fire Protection District Number 1.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Just like to thank staff, and I think also the Roselle Fire Protection District for all the effort that they put into this and reach an agreement. I think it's really great that we can continue to make sure all of our neighbors are safe and have a positive community experience from that regard. And I'm happy that we were able to renew this. So that being the case, could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Delapenna.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
That motion carries. That's it for fire tonight. We have nothing under police or public works, but finance. Trustee Forsythe, we've got your work cut out for you today.
Thank you, Mayor Pileski. First, I would like to move approval of the accounts payable list for July 8th, 2024 in the amount of $1,307,612.90.
Second.
Any discussion on these items? Now, could we have a roll call, please?
Forsythe.
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Trustee Delapenna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa.
Aye.
Trustee Prokowski.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Next, I would like to move passage of an ordinance amending Chapter 20 of the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Roselle, Illinois, Home Rule Sales Tax.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? The record show, oh, yep, Wayne?
There was a reference, I think, was a reference about home, real estate. I think it's. I wanted to ask just, Jason or whatever. We're not taxing houses that are being sold by realtors or by owners, right?
No, this does not apply to sale. This is not a transfer tax. This is just a sales tax. So it only applies to goods and goods. It is not taxed on services. So haircuts, legal, plumbing, electrical, that is not included in this sales tax. It is simply what you currently pay, essentially a sales tax from the state of Illinois, but we have a cut of that for the village of Roselle.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that public because that was one of the issues that the Real Estate Association was against home rule. And I just want to reassure public that we're not taxing home sales.
Yep, absolutely. And this would be establishing a rate at 1.5%, which is within the ranges that we discussed with the public this spring. This would be expected based on our forecast to bring in 4.8 million in annual revenue. This would be mostly used to pay for the IEPA loans for the wastewater capital projects of about 90 million. And so that's something that this would pay for. In addition to going with this rate, that allows us some more flexibility with revenue to allow us to continue to help update streets and other infrastructure things that benefit all the residents of the village as well, instead of just focusing on that, and could be a means for retiring the vehicle sticker to be determined. This, just to kind of circle back to your point about a transfer tax, that's something that the board could not even do at this stage. That's something that would require a public referendum to approve that. That's not something that we have the authority, even with home rule status, to do independently. So with that being the case, could we have a roll call, please?
Scythe,
Aye.
Kirkowski,
Aye.
Delapena,
Aye.
Trustee Domke,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Nay.
That motion carries.
Next, I would like to move passage of an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Article 11 of the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Roselle, Illinois, municipal motor fuel tax.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? So for the record, this would be establishing a tax rate of 2 cents per gallon effective September 1st, 2024. This would go towards funding our street improvement program that's expected to generate $200,000 annually, which is about a third of our current vehicle sticker revenue. So, which is why we need to have the supplement from a sales tax in order to make that whole, or other revenue sources. All communities around us have a sales tax if they are able to, at 2 cents or even higher. So we are not, we would be at parity with our neighbors in that regard, and not at a high rate. So there's no other comments from the board, then we'll go to a roll call.
Trustee Forsythe,
Aye.
Trustee Kirkowski,
Aye.
Trustee Delapena,
Aye.
Trustee Domke,
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa,
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
That motion carries.
And lastly, I would like to move to pass an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Article 9 of the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Roselle, Illinois, Home Rule Food and Beverage Tax.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Just for the record, this is essentially prior to having home rule status back in 2011, the board established a food and beverage, an eating establishment tax, which it was able to do as a non-home rule community. This is simply replacing it with a food and beverage tax at the same rate that it existed before. This would just bring in additional sales that are done at gas stations or packaged liquor stores that are currently exempt from that, and is expected to bring in an additional $60,000 in revenue for the village. There's no further discussion from the board. Could we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Forsythe,
Aye.
Kirkowski,
Aye.
Trustee Delapena,
Aye.
Domke,
Aye.
Trustee Lanisa,
Aye.
Trustee Trejo.
Nay.
That motion carries. And I failed to mention that one would go into effect September 1st. The home rule sales tax does not go into effect January 1st of 2025.
And that is all I have for tonight.
Thank you so much. That concludes our unfinished business. We'll now move to new business items, which are for discussion only. We'll first discuss direction regarding an extension to our janitorial services agreement with Mr. Natural. So I'll invite our Assistant Village Administrator, Brian Jonas, up to the podium.
Good evening. So what I have before you is a proposal that we received from Mr. Natural, who's been supplying us with janitorial services since really 2012, until we took a break for them for 2 years, going out for an RFP process that didn't work out so well. They're a home-based business here in town. They provide good service for the costs that we pay for. We're looking for, they originally gave us a 5-year proposal. I don't recommend anything longer than 3 years at this point, just because we have had some minor issues with them, and we just think it's time at the end of this extension, if the board agrees with our recommendation, to go out for RFP again. It's just one of the more complicated contracts in the municipal world to get a cost-effective and efficient cleaning service that knows your community and facilities and provides just good quality service. So one thing that I clarified with Mr. Natural after this memo was generated was just for the first 3 years of that agreement. So you see that larger increase of 4.84%, and then 1.5% for the additional 2 years. We would just average that out over the 3 years. So it roughly come out to about 2.61% for a term of 3 years.
Great. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just one question, when we say they mop the floors if needed, how do they determine if needed? There was a lot of if neededs that maybe if we don't open 1 week, they don't even come, or what? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I mean,
Talk about complicated, you know.
I've never seen them not mop the floors here.
Almost
you know,
that's a
it's
standard you have to do.
Yeah, it's typically a daily occurrence, and really with every other facility with the traffic that is included in it, it gets mopped every day.
I don't
So,
know. I mean, do you mop your floor at home every day?
Um,
As needed, right?
Not gonna say that because that's, you have to ask my wife that one.
Right. But I mean, if you look at your floor and if it needs it, you do it. If not, you
Well,
don't do it every day.
I know, I'm just asking how you deal with if needed, on who makes the decision, they do?
yeah, we've never had an issue with them. I mean, if there's ever been an issue with just service quality, or if we feel like something has gone downhill a little bit, they're very responsive. I mean, the owner is literally less than a block away from us here at Village Hall. So they've been cordial with that.
You're happy with that?
Yeah, I'm satisfied for the cost that we pay for the service that we've been getting over the last 12 years. It's satisfactory, but I do think just in general, we'll take a look at just managing facilities and just as part of this contract in the next 3 years going out for RFP.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Consensus to move forward as staff has advised for 3 years.
Mhm.
All right, you got your direction, so. We'll move on to our final new business item, which has been a topic of much concern from the public, but also I think this shows that we take public comment very seriously and we implement it in a timely manner. So golf carts, off-highway, and all-terrain vehicles on public property. Chief Barretto.
Good evening. So today I wanted to discuss amending the village code to prohibit golf carts, off-highway and all-terrain vehicles and their operation on public property. I had put an attachment in the agenda so that everyone understands what vehicles I'm talking about. Golf carts are kind of self-explanatory, but an all-terrain vehicle would be like a four-wheeler, and a off-highway vehicle would be like a John Deere Gator. Currently, the vehicles are illegal to operate on the roadway unless authorized by a local municipality. But the Illinois Vehicle Code doesn't currently restrict the operation on our sidewalks or bike paths, fields or other public property. So additionally, we have received an increase in the number of complaints regarding all three of these types of vehicles on our roads, the fields and sidewalks. So oftentimes it's reported that the people operating these vehicles are children under the age of 16. So what I'm recommending is that we add golf carts, off-highway, and all-terrain vehicles to the current list of personal use vehicles in the village code. So this would allow us to prohibit the operation anywhere on public property unless it was private property and the person received permission. The additional benefit is this is a civil ticket which would go to adjudication, which is here in the village hall, instead of being sent down to field court in Glendale Heights. And of course, we would exempt government entities, police, fire, public works, park district employees who are operating those vehicles in furtherance of, their jobs. We would put it under, like I said, the personal use vehicles, and the other implications to be considered, would it be necessary to update the text of at least one of our ordinances in order to enforce the prohibitions that we're seeking? Any questions?
Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Domke?
Yeah, I do. I've been thinking of buying an e-bike because then I can pretend that I'm a great cyclist going up hills and all that. Is that something wouldn't be allowed on the street, an e-bike? Now, I'm not talking about a dirt bike or an all-terrain vehicle type of bike that can go 80 miles an hour. I'm talking about something that just enhances or helps your pedaling of the bike. I don't know how, you've put some items on here that will be no good.
Sure.
There's some that I have to ask, are they gonna be all right? And I don't even envision like using that on a street, but there are bike paths that are on our streets.
Well, I see plenty in the streets too. A lot of kids have the e-bike, so.
Yeah, so e-bikes is something we didn't touch at this time. This is a issue that is all the communities are facing currently. So what that I would ask for tonight is that we would be given some time to look.
This,
Yeah, just this. I'd be looking at just doing this and then looking at researching and updating some new ordinances on e-bikes and motorized scooters and things like that so that we can update the village code. But like I said, everyone is dealing with it currently. This is everywhere. And so we would need some time to work through and research on those specific issues.
so it's not part of this package. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is just modifying what we already have a little bit, right?
Correct.
that suffice.
Other questions or comments from the board? With our current enforcement, how many tickets have we issued or how many citations regarding kind of improper usage of these vehicles on the roads today?
Yeah, I'd have to go through and look, pull the numbers.
And then I guess my only question is, obviously this would apply to our property. When it comes to the park districts and whatnot, do they have their own? I know we have a side letter agreement where we enforce the rules for the park district.
Yes.
We're working to clean that up with others, but I guess, do they currently prohibit it and or would we be also reaching out to them to prohibit it on their property if they so desire?
Yeah, we would work in concert with them to make sure that there's consistency.
If it's not confusing enough, this would apply to the village's own stuff, but when you start to talk about Klaus, that's technically a separate entity, though we do police it. They have their own rules. Turner's another good example. So I know there's a lot of times where people think, well, it's all Roselle. It's not. And then you get to the complicated fact, Mannery Park is actually Medina Park District, not Roselle Park District. Four Seasons is technically Bloomingdale Park District. So I bring this up just simply more so it easier said than done just to take care of all these types of issues out there and whatnot. So, but
Yes, sir.
They'd have to go on our streets to get to the park.
you'd hope, right? Or our sidewalks. So at least you make it a little bit harder, right? So consensus from the board to move forward with adding golf carts, recreational off-highway vehicles and all-terrain vehicles to our prohibited personal use vehicles in village code. All right, you've got consensus from the board to move forward with it. Thank you so much for pulling this together. So.
Thank you for your time.
All right, that concludes our new business. Are there any additional comments for the village board at this time? The record show none. I'd like to entertain a motion to convene executive session for the purpose to discuss employment matters. The meeting will be adjourned from there. No final action will be taken during the executive session.
Moved. Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Trejo.
Aye.
Stella Penna.
Aye.
Trustee Domke.
Aye.
Trustee Forsythe.
Aye.
Lisa.
Aye.
Trustee Kowski.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you so much.